Hey sports fans, are you in the market for Florida sports or just keeping up with the latest in the Panhandle? Palm Tree Sports is a dedicated audio hub to all things sports in the Sunshine State. We cover current events, big news, heavily favored opinions all across the NFL, NBA, MLB, and so much more. So come check us out every Saturday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For a down south education on Florida sports and athletics, it's hosted by yours truly, Corey Pujols, and is powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pujols. I am your host, and as always, it is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Welcome to the show, guys. Happy Saturday. I hope you guys are enjoying your weekend. I'm having a long, busy weekend, but it's the holidays. You know how that goes, guys. So just, obviously I'm hoping and praying for you guys' safety, that you guys are having a good time, getting ready for all the festivities and whatnot. But I will admit, as I get older, the more I'm ready for this to just happen and be done. Because, geez Louise, it's the holiday season surely brings out a lot, and it's not always good, So for you guys who are going through it, hey, I'm going through it too. Same here. I just picked up my son some of his presents for birthday. Or Christmas, Jesus. I know he's going to be super excited about that, so I can't wait. But I am ready to get on with the rest of these holidays. And yes, real quick, shout out Dad. I'm watching the very same game right now. I'm watching Army-Navy. For those of you who are also watching it, shout out to you guys. This age-old tradition, which take place every year. So, but Army's ahead 10-3. Both teams are 5-6. It's late in the fourth quarter. We're going to find out which team wants it more. If Navy wants it, they're going to have to play like it. They're going to have to go get it. Army's played a relatively decent game up until this point, but realistically, they haven't done much either. So we'll see what happens here in the next 7 minutes. But that's Army-Navy. Let's talk about what's going on here in Florida. So, guys, for those of you, again, who do not live in the state, if you guys don't know what it's like to be in a tropical island, this is what it's like. It's 80 degrees outside, guys, or 83 to be more specific. There's, weddings and just all kind of trips going on right now. I mean, I tell you what, I don't know how Florida does it, but somehow the weather is warm when it should be cold. So, shout out to Florida for keeping it warm. Yeah. Guys, we got a few things to get into today. We got some NFL football to talk. We got some college football to talk, tiny bit. Some NHL, some college basketball, and some NBA, of course. Just a few things going on that are going to be important to talk about. And as always, let us go ahead and get started with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. My apologies there, guys. So, with Tampa Bay, I don't know whether to start with the bad, the worst, or the okay. Because there's not really much good. On one hand, the Buccaneers beating the Panthers was a good thing, right? Getting back in the win column, find some motivation, find just something to hold on to there, because Lord knows if you lose to the worst team in the league at that point, who knows what happens. In my fundamental opinion, I think Bowles gets fired immediately. I think that one way or another, drastic changes are going to come to Tampa Bay, just due to the fact that things have gone the way they have this year. Tampa Bay's played a lot of football where they could have won and they didn't. And I think that has a lot to do with the head coach. I hate to say it like this. Todd Bowles is not it. He's just not it, guys. Not for Tampa Bay anyway. I don't know where he needs to go or what he needs to do, but it doesn't have anything to do with Tampa Bay, because he's failing, guys. And I'm not saying he's had a few seasons now, but his decision making has been terrible. Leaving timeouts on the board in the first half is terrible, inexcusable, especially in situations where if the offense isn't ready, call a timeout, get the right plan, get the right personnel, do the things that you need to do to be successful, and this is something that Todd Bowles has not been able to do here at head coach. So I think that's where things kind of start and end with Tampa Bay, at least for this year. Now, once this season is over, we only have 4 or 5 games left, I think it is. Once this season is over, we can move from there. And obviously the front office is going to have a lot of decisions to make. Another one of those decisions is, do you keep Baker Mayfield? My issue here is that I think you can keep Baker as a backup, or at least make the quarterback competition worth it, right? Because I don't think Baker is the problem, but he hasn't exactly played like some of the people that we've seen play when they come into a team and they're just looking for a chance to start. Now, it's unfair for me to compare him to Joe Montana, but I want to use that reference because Joe Montana left the 49ers and he immediately, if I remember correctly, made it to an AFC Championship game with the Chiefs, okay? I'm saying that because the Chiefs then were built in a similar way that the Buccaneers were built after this Super Bowl run. Good defense, weapons on offense, not all of them, but a decent amount. And they just needed the right guy in the right place to do everything. And I just feel like that's not what is happening with Baker. But I feel like if Bruce Arians had been coaching, perhaps this would not be the case. Bruce Arians was more of a risk taker. He was more of an aggressive styled head coach. He believed that the best defense was great offense. And guess what, guys? I got to be honest with you. That's also the case. You know, you hear the term, the best offense is a great defense. Okay, yeah, that's absolutely true. Look at the best defense in the league right now, if I remember correctly, is the Browns, and they're 7-5. Okay, so that should go to show you that just because you have a good defense doesn't mean that's going to translate into offense for you. You got to have a potent offense as well, and we've seen more times than not where a potent offense actually leads to the success of the defense. Excuse me, my apologies, guys. Army just got a strip sack for a fumble return for a touchdown. Strip sack, fumble return for a touchdown. Now that they pulled this game out of a possible comeback scenario for the Navy. Score is now 16-3 Army. Just had to give y'all that for those who, is pay attention to it. But realistically speaking, guys, the Buccaneers offense has been the problem this year. Okay? It's not been the defense. Well, it has been the defense at times. Let's clear that up. There are times where Carlton Davis has looked terrible. Neal, terrible. Devin White has looked terrible. The people who are holding this defense together are Levante David, Antoine Winfield Jr., who quietly is Defensive Player of the Year. If you guys have been watching him play football, I don't know what to tell you. Take away Tweezy is, without the shadow of a doubt, the Defensive Player of the Year. The guy's actually cracked. Vita Vea has played really good football this year. And then also the rookies, Servassier Dennis, Kalijah Cansey. There's a bunch of young guys who have stepped up and played really good football. Christian Eisen, just to name a few. But the rest of these veterans, man, they look terrible, bro. They look terrible. I hate to say it like this, but they just look terrible. Offensive side of the ball is similar. Baker Mayfield's not the problem, but he's certainly not making things better. He has throughout the year, but there have been times where we've just wished he made a different decision than what he made. With that being said, Baker's not my problem. My problem is still the offensive line. Okay? And that's coming from an area of pressure. When you're in the offensive defensive line, your whole goal is pressure, right? On offense, you're trying to push the pressure back. On the defensive line, you're trying to create that pressure, right? So there's like a balancing act like there is in Space with a Star, where you have the stars, nuclear fusion, combustion engine, just, vibing. But then you have the all-powerful force of gravity, which is pushing down, and that's why stars are circular. When you look at that and you apply that to terms in offense and defense, you begin with the offensive line, you end with the defensive line. Ours hasn't played well. We have a top 5 receiving core in the NFL. I don't care, okay? We have a great running back out of the backfield. Second most receiving yards running back actually out of the backfield with Rashad White. Okay? There's little to no excuse for what's going on here, for Tampa Bay. And I blame the offense. It's stagnant, doesn't take chances. And when it does take chances, it fails miserably. And with that being said, somehow, some way, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 5-7. They have a chance to move into first place in the NFC South, the all terrible, all trash NFC South, that is, by beating the 6-6 Falcons tomorrow at 1 p.m. So, guys, that's the game tomorrow. If you're looking to watch some Tampa Bay football, I'm going to be honest with you. We lost to the Falcons earlier this year. If we don't get payback in this game, our season's over anyway, regardless of what happens these final 3-4 games. So, it's and that's another thing. Good point, Dad. If the Buccaneers are going to be successful, it can't just be Mike Evans. All right? Mike Evans has just historically owned the Carolina Panthers. Okay, so that's the thing about Mike in Carolina. He has always done well against Carolina. Carolina has always struggled to play against him. In fact, he's been the biggest baller against Carolina of all the receivers I think we've ever had in our team's history. He just has a nose to get around the defenders that Carolina's scheme presents. And I think Carolina's scheme is built towards beating Atlanta instead of built towards beating the Saints. And the Saints of Tampa Bay run similar offenses, okay? So when you take that in consideration, that's, I think, a large reason why the Saints and the Bucs have found success against Carolina in the past. I think that will continue to happen. Also, Carolina's the worst team in the league. So there's that. I just am disappointed at a 3-point victory against Carolina. And noticing that we're about to play a Falcons team that's better than Carolina just kind of has me in a little way where I'm not excited about this game at all. I hope Tampa Bay plays well. We're visiting the Falcons, so we're actually going up to Georgia for this game. That's another thing that kind of puts us behind, although we've done better, I think, on the road than we have at home, which is just ridiculous. It's ludicrous, but hey, that's the kind of ball Tampa Bay's been playing. Still through, this is my team. I love this team. I love these players, and I'm really hoping for nothing but the best for the future of this team. But in my humble opinion, that future comes without Todd Bowles and perhaps without some other people. I think that the following game against Green Bay will be a lot harder than either of these two games. Green Bay is on a bit of a resurgence. They've been playing good football for the last few weeks. I wouldn't be surprised if Green Bay came in all guns blazing and outplayed Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay has historically played Green Bay pretty tough, so it should be a competitive game, but I just find it hard to believe that this Buccaneers defense is going to perform better than that Green Bay defense, and I think that game will be a defensive game, and may the best defense win. But I'm going to lean towards Packers in that. Obviously, I have all the faith in the world in my Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but let's be fair, right? Let's not over-exaggerate what's going on there. But that's what's going on with Tampa Bay, guys. The one bright spot I can talk about in a good light, I should say, is Mike Evans. He surpasses 1,000 yards receiving again for the 10th straight season. They're going to have to start giving this guy his flowers. I know that there's always been this thing that there's so many competitive wide receivers out there, and Mike Evans isn't a top 5 receiver because of XYZ. Listen, guys, I'm going to debacle this argument right before we go into our first break. The first thing, before I get into the other two teams, and then we're going to get into our first break. But guys, here's the first thing. Mike Evans has stayed with the same team this entire time. Okay? Let's look at some of these other players that were drafted around the same time as him. Okay? Devontae Adams left the Packers after Aaron Rodgers left. Okay? Odell Beckham Jr., albeit perhaps the most pound-for-pound talented wide receiver, is bounced around, had a lot of injury issues, and hasn't really regained what he had when he was in New York. When he was in New York, he was a monster. The kid, if he didn't get emotionally rattled in the game, was an absolute terror. There were times where he got emotional and played better, but in most cases when he didn't play emotional football, he was at any given time the best receiver on the field, and at times the best receiver in the league, it seemed like. And now he's where he is now. Yeah, he's still a good receiver, but that's it. He reminds me of Deshaun Jackson. You remember Deshaun Jackson in Philly when he was young? He was disgusting. Things that he did to other teams, the way he scored the football, the speed he put on the field. And then as he got older, he just kind of became another guy, just another receiver that can fill that receiver position, for whatever ball club he played on. And that's what I'm kind of feeling from Odell. Mike Evans has been with Tampa Bay his entire 10-year career. It doesn't matter who was throwing him the football, he was going to get 1,000 yards. It didn't matter if he was injured, he was going to get 1,000 yards. Guys, that's a model of consistency that's only ever been seen by one other player in NFL history, okay? And that's Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice, at one point in time, had 3 quarterbacks throwing him the football. In 1991, the San Francisco 49ers, Navy scores a touchdown here. 2 minutes, 45 seconds left to go on the clock. Big touchdown there by Navy. We got a touchdown ball game, guys. They're going to go for 2. But my apologies as I'm bouncing around with this information. In 1991, the San Francisco 49ers saw 3 different quarterbacks take the helm. Realistically, it was just 2 because Joe Montana actually went down with an elbow injury that forced him to have surgery that would sideline him for the entire season. And to start the season was Steve Young. Now, the 49ers would go on to go 10-6 during this regular season, and they did have a playoff berth, which was rubbed out in the final week of the season, just due to another team having a slightly better record and tiebreaker against them. Guys, this is absolutely ridiculous. Jerry Rice goes 14 touchdowns and, 1,200 receiving yards with the second and third string quarterback. Okay? Just take that in for a second, guys. Really understand where I'm coming from with this. Jerry Rice, greatest receiver of all time, has Steve Young throwing him the football after Joe Montana goes down. And then Steve Young gets injured week 6 game against Atlanta, if I remember correctly. And then Steve Bono comes in. No, it wasn't week 6. It was week 8, I believe it was. And Steve Bono comes in, third string quarterback, and just balls out. Guy goes absolutely, nuts. It was very, very impressive. And the reason why I'm saying this is, guys, we got to start considering Mike as one of the greatest, because this is what he's been able to do since coming as a rookie and be able, no matter who's throwing him the football, to have 1,000 yards. Guys, absolutely nuts. He's cracked. He's completely cracked, guys. So, Mike Evans, if you ever hear this, my man, we love you down here in Tampa. We hope you stay. We hope you retire as a Buck. You have meant everything to this city. We wouldn't be the same without you. Obviously, the time that we had watching Tom throw the football to you was just cherished. One of the three of some of the best years of my life from a football perspective, and I just hope that you are able to stay down here. This is our plea. This is my plea specifically, just from one fan, a guy who's watched you your entire career, a guy who watched you in college. We love you. We appreciate you, Mike. And no matter what happens moving forward, bro, just be blessed and continue to get that grand. We would love to see you, and we will see you in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I took a little bit more time than I normally do there, guys, for Tampa Bay, but that's just because there's a lot of similarities and things to kind of pick up on between them and other teams, and specifically with Mike Evans. The last thing I want to talk about real quick with the Buccaneers is Chris Godwin. For those of you who do not know, Chris Godwin's wife, Mariah, I think was her name. I believe that was her name. She had some comments for the coaching staff for Tampa Bay, and there were some people who felt like, maybe she wasn't in her place to say it. In my opinion, I believe that this woman, did exactly what all men want their women to do, and that's go to bat for them. At first it might look like maybe she's creating a bigger issue when there's not, but I disagree with that. I personally think that if your wife isn't your biggest supporter, then she's not your wife. If your wife isn't right by your side doing exactly what she should do, whatever form and shape that takes, right? Because you got some women who, they hold down the home. Some women, they're parents. Some women, they work and they hold down the home, and they do all these different things. And so all those women out there, all those good women out there, I shout out to you guys. Say, listen, keep doing what you're doing. There's a lot of good men out there who really appreciate you and really love you for what you bring to the table. And this is an example of that. And when she's blaming the coaching staff for not having Chris Godwin be targeted throughout games, you have to remember, we almost lost this game to the Carolina Panthers. You got to ask yourself, how many times was Chris Godwin open and they didn't find him? Now, Chris was dealing with a bit of a neck injury, and I wonder if that had something to do with it, but that doesn't mean he's not going to make contact. Of course, he was still contacted by defenders, so what point does it make if he doesn't have the football to still be contacted by defenders? You have to target Chris. Okay, the Bucs are most successful when Chris and Mike find success. It's that simple. It doesn't really matter what happens in the backfield. We've won games without running the football. But Chris and Mike have to be involved, and it can't just be one, because when it's just one, you only win by 3 points or you lose, which is what we've done most of the season. Chris Godwin deserves more targets. He's absolutely one of the best receivers in the league. He's been one of the best receivers in the league, especially after dealing with the injury that he's dealt with. I can't say enough good things about Chris Godwin. And between these two, it's one of my favorite all-time receiving cores of all time. So, coaching staff, again, back to the issue, Todd Bowles he's going to have to go. There's been a few names that I've seen circle around Tampa Bay, on Twitter and on other areas, that people who are fans of the game of football would say, hey, this is a guy that would make a good fit. And for obvious purposes, Jim Harbaugh is one of the guys he's the guy I've been looking at for the longest. I've actually been looking at him for the last 2 years about the head coaching position, because I feel like Tampa Bay is only ever successful when they have an offensive-minded head coach. And you can go throughout Tampa Bay's history and see that. The first Super Bowl came off the back of a Tony Dungy-built defense, but a John Gruden-led offense. Okay, you see how that worked, guys? John Gruden was the offensive guru with the Raiders. At the time, the Oakland Raiders, okay? Took them to 2 back-to-back AFC championship games, all right? And you see them go to a third, and you're like, okay, it's the team, and then they get into the Super Bowl, and then the Buccaneers crush them, all right? 48-21 was the ball game, all right? Buccaneers had 5 interceptions, 4 sacks. It was just an absolute ball game. If you've never seen that game before, go back and look at it. You want to see a masterclass on defense? You want to see the greatest defensive performance in Super Bowl history? Go look at Tampa Bay's first and second Super Bowls. Because bar none, those are 2 of the very best. Okay, against 2 of the very best offenses. And by the way, Jerry Rice only ever lost 1 Super Bowl in his career, and you guessed it, it was to Tampa Bay. Huh? Same thing with Patrick Mahomes, guys. So that's what's going on there. Everything Tampa Bay wise, guys. There you go. The second head coach, of course, would have besides Jim Harbaugh is going to be Mike Tomlin. I'm gonna leave that to you guys. I'm just gonna give you that information and say, listen, Pittsburgh's thinking about moving on from Mike. Mike was the defensive back coach for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the 2002 year that they won the Super Bowl. So bringing back him would be an absolutely phenomenal idea. Jim Harbaugh or Mike Tomlin, either will do for me. But we've got to get Todd Bowles is going to have to go because the decision making is just not there, and either of those guys would instantly turn this team into at least 500 team, in my humble opinion. That's what's going on in Tampa Bay, guys. Let's go ahead and go over to the Jags and to the Fins real quick. I have a little bit less information just by virtue of the fact that both of these teams are performing better than Tampa Bay has been, and obviously that matters a lot. When you look at the Jags coming off of a loss to the Bengals, they're 8-4. All right, so they're still 8-4. They're still in control of the AFC South. The Bengals obviously are in the AFC North, so you don't really have to concern yourself with losing that game. Also, you lost that game in OT, guys, so, it's not like it was a blowout. 34-31 ball game. Trevor Lawrence got injured. I know a lot of people were concerned about the injury, guys. Excuse me. I've played a lot of football. I've watched 10 times as much. That injury, you could see immediately, was a high ankle sprain. I said it from the moment it happened. Nothing broke. Everything bent the way it was supposed to bend. It was an awkward looking fall because it doesn't look normal. But, everything bent the way it was supposed to bend. The knee did. The hip, he went down properly. The ankle folded back into him instead of folding outwards. Folding outwards is definitely the way a lot of injuries happen for a lot of quarterbacks, especially around that ankle area. So Trevor Lawrence is listed as questionable for the game. It's possible that he could show up. There's a lot of time still remaining before that game, and each resting period that he has, each sleep period that he has, is going to make it a lot easier for him to recover faster, especially as an athlete, a young athlete, still pretty young. I think he's like, 25, 26 or something like that. Still a young guy, so he's going to have that on his side as well. I think he can sit this game out. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you guys. They're playing the Browns. The Browns, yeah, they're 7-5, but the Browns also have been shooting themselves in the foot when they lose games. I say slow down the tempo, run the ball as best you can with ETM, and just hope for the best. But I think Lawrence should sit out. I think Lawrence should stay out. I think that high ankle sprain is something that you want properly rested. I don't think you want to have a situation where he comes back too soon and then it happens again. We only have 4 games left in the season. They're almost but guaranteed a playoff, berth. As long as they beat, what is it? The Titans, the Texans, and the Colts. They beat the Colts, I think, twice already. No, they lost to the Colts and beat the Colts the second time. They lost to the Texans, beat the Texans the second time. So that means they just have to win, a few more games. Focus on Trevor's health, guy. You have to focus on the health, right? Because he's the guy. He's the signal caller. He's the one. You guys don't have Gardner Minshew anymore. Jags, you got to focus on the safety. I think T. Lawrence sits this one out, comes back the following week, leads the Jags to a couple more victories as the season ends, and they go into the playoffs, and they go from there. I think that's what they do. Army's punting the ball back now to Navy, who is going to take it fair, caught with a great bounce up to the 26, 27-yard line. So they got a minute 39 to go down and potentially try to tie this game up. They're going to have to score and get a 2-point conversion. We'll see what happens there. Good luck, Navy midshipmen there against Army. Now, the Jags, the next game that they have is going to be against the Ravens. So, that's going to be a tough one. This is definitely a tough 2-game period for the Jags. But I think you'd rather have Trevor Lawrence healthy for that game than not have him healthy. Because, again, if he comes in early, gets hurt against the Browns, he's not going to be able to go against the Ravens. And without T. Lawrence, I don't see you guys even having a shot against the Ravens. I don't. So that's what that is right there. The Ravens, in my humble opinion, best team in the AFC. Doing it behind, tremendous quarterback play, tremendous run game specifically, and obviously a great defense, what the Ravens are known for. So that's what you kind of come to expect. The Ravens are rocking, a 9-3 record right now. So, that's far to be outdone from perfection, but it's about as good as it gets right now in the AFC. In fact, that's tied for the best record in the AFC. Tomorrow's game against the Browns is going to be tomorrow, again, at 1 p.m. So If you guys want to check that game out, 1 p.m. is going to be your start time. Like I said, I just don't see T. Lawrence playing. So if you don't check it out, hey, I don't blame you. There's going to be a few more exciting games that are going to be on tomorrow. So I just don't, I wouldn't be surprised by that, guys. The Ravens game, however, is Sunday, December 17th. That game is 8:20 p.m. start time. That's Sunday night primetime football. I should be watching that game myself. I don't think I have anything else that will be as important as watching that game. So I will be checking that game out for sure. Sunday Night Football, like I said, get ready for that one. Going to be a tremendous game, especially if T. Lawrence is all healed up and ready to go. Now, moving on down to Miami, this is actually the opposite of what we have going on in Jacksonville, right? So the Fins, they're 9-3, but they're humming, right? Like they're playing good football. They just got off of a wash against the Commanders, 45-15. We weren't sure if they were going to put up 70 against that team because good God Almighty. Miami is known to score in a hurry, and when they do, they find a lot of success, and they consistently find that success. So that's something to take into consideration when it comes to Miami. They're going to be playing the Titans tomorrow. That's going to be a gimme game. Titans aren't playing good football. They weren't able to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and if you can't beat Tampa Bay, I'm not going to call you a good team, because Tampa Bay's not a great team. So that's just what it is there, though. Like I said, that Titans team is coming in with a 4-8 record. Don't expect much from them. That game's going to take place Monday, December 11th, 8:15 p.m. So that's Monday night prime time. I don't know why they put that Monday night prime time. It's like I said, it's most likely going to be a wash unless something happens to Miami throughout the week or with Tua, which I'm obviously hoping and praying that nothing does happen. But after the performance they put on against the Commanders, there's no reason why this team shouldn't score more than 30 against the Titans. So look for them to run the score up again. The following game is going to be a division game against the Jets. That game is going to come to you in the form of Sunday, December 17th at 1 p.m. That's going to be an early game, obviously, because we still don't have a timetable on Aaron Rodgers' return. So it is what it is right now. Fins look like they have an easy 2-game schedule coming up for the most part. Jets do have a tremendous defense, but what does it matter if you guys can't put up points on offense? That defense will get tired at some point, especially with the speed surrounding Miami. Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, Tua Tagovailoa also has some wheels in case he needs to use them. Of course, he shouldn't be, but that plausibility is always there. Now, Navy has moved into second and goal down at the Army. What are they at the 11? I need to have a better look at this real quick to see where they're at, but it looks like they're well within striking distance. This is going to come down to the wire. 26 seconds left. 26 seconds, second and goal. My bad. They are at the 6, guys. So, I'll give you guys the heads up on what's going on with that once we come back from break. But let's go ahead and get into our first break of the evening a little bit later than we normally do. I apologize for that, but thank you so much for rocking here with me on Palm Tree Sports. My name is Corey Pujols. I am your host, and as always, this is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Dentarius Locke.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That gives you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
Everybody, this is Darren Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunder Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
right, IE Sports Radio fam. Taryn Rodriguez right there, one of the big dogs here, one of the guys that knows how to get it popping with all his shows. Definitely got to pay attention to if you want to learn how to get better at your craft, because it's something that I do myself. And shout out to the rest of the IE Sports family, IE Sports Radio family. You know, you guys always know how to turn up and do great shows, and I appreciate all the support. And the guys, when you come in and listen and, you know, engage in the chat, it means a lot to me. So thank you guys so much for that. And welcome back to Palm Tree Sports Radio. Of course, my name is Corey Poole, your host, and as always, this is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Guys, it looks like Navy might have scored. It's under review. There's 3 seconds left, and they're third and goal. That was third and goal right there at the 1. At the 2, really at the 2.5 or 1.5, somewhere beyond the 1, but short of the 2. You guys get what I'm saying. So, but they're reviewing it right now. They're taking a long look. So once we know something further, it doesn't look like he got in. So it looks like they're going to go down to 4th and goal with 3 seconds on the clock. It's going to come down to one final play, and we will see what happens there. I have no idea what Navy has planned, but down to the wire, the midshipmen take the Army. We will see what happens. Speaking of college football, you can tell by that sigh I have some bad news. My beloved Florida Gators have lost 12 players to the transfer portal. Sad to hear it. I'm trying to find the right words. Normally I'm not short for words, but let's just be honest. This looks like a heavy reflection on Billy Napier. And as much as I believe in Billy and I want to give him his flowers, I can't really give him his flowers for this year. This year was going to be the easier schedule between the next year and really few years moving forward, especially now that Oklahoma and Texas have joined the SEC. I just don't see us winning more than 5 games next year. I don't. And I think that's in large part due to how many players we've lost so fast and how many decommits we've had. We've had a ton of decommits as well, especially after those last few games that the Gators played. The game specifically against FSU, saw a couple of 5-star commits show up and also watch the game. Terrible outing for the Gators this past year. Billy Napier, although I do not blame him 100% for this, he does have to take blame. He goes 6-6 last year, 5-7 this year. It's not looking good for Billy. It's not looking good for the blue and orange. It's not looking good for Gainesville, my second home. But they have a chance to fix it. They just have to fix it in the hardest schedule they've played in 4 or 5 years. And we're going to see if the Gators can do that. Again, I believe in my Gators. I love my Gators. But as you can hear in my voice, it kind of hurts right now. It hurts. Among the players that we lost to the transfer portal, our probably pound for pound best running back on the roster, Trevor Etienne, younger brother of Travis Etienne, has hit the portal. Absolutely heartbreaking situation to be a part of, and I hope nothing for the best but Trevor Etienne. There's some talk that he's going to go to Georgia. How heartbreaking that would be for him to leave Florida and go to one of our arch nemesis rivals in Georgia. But I wish nothing but the best for him. He gave us a phenomenal time while he was here. Great running back, excellent vision, bounces off of blocks. Once he fully matures into the running back that he has the possibility to be, he will probably be better than his brother. I believe he will be better than his brother, and I can't wait to see what he does there. Not to pit him against each other, but you get what I'm saying. It's just a very, very sad situation for the Gators. I'm really hoping that the commits that do stay are able to turn this program around. Florida did see a lot of SEC all-freshman honors placed on them. 4 players from the Gators got all SEC first-team all SEC freshman honors this past week. So, go Gators, but the next year's schedule is horrifically tough. We got to play Texas. We got to play Georgia. Of course, we got to play LSU, Florida State, and those are just some of the teams. Of course, I believe we have a few other teams that we're going to have to play that are also ranked, including the Zoo. We'll see what happens, but Gators, we're going to need help. We're going to need a prayer. We're going to need some Jesus in it, because the team from the last 2 years has no chance at coming out at least 500 or better next year. Has zero chance. So, go Gators. Love you. Appreciate you guys. Hope you guys can turn this thing around, Billy. It's all on you. Now, guys, I got to step on some toes here. I got to hurt some feelings for those of you who are Noles fans. Of course, everybody's heard about the development, okay, in Florida State, which is that they were, quote-unquote, cheated, or any negative terminology you want to use to describe what took place while keeping Florida State out of the Final Four. Guys, it's very simple, okay? It's very, very simple. You can't blame the college football committee. You have to blame Georgia, first and foremost. If Georgia doesn't lose to Alabama, Alabama has no argument to get in, and Florida State is rightfully the only other team that you can put in due to the fact of the other teams losing, okay, as late in the season as they did. We all know that a SEC lost champion, or my bad, a SEC loss in a championship, in a SEC championship, I should say. Jesus, I'm trying to get my words correct here. Automatically kicks you out of the running for a title, okay? Georgia was ranked 1 most of the year. They lose to Bama, they have no chance. Why? You lost too late in the season. If you lose to Georgia, or you lose, Georgia loses to Alabama middle of the season, wins the SEC championship game, we're not having this, this debate. If Georgia just doesn't lose to Alabama, we're not having this debate. Guys, FSU, if you want to blame somebody, blame Georgia. Okay? Because if Georgia doesn't lose, it's Georgia 1, Michigan 2, Washington 3, Florida State 4. Ta-da. Alright? It's that simple. Alright? But that's not what happened. Alright? When Georgia loses to Alabama in the SEC championship game, because they lost so late, you have to look at the other championship games. Okay? Both Texas, okay, and Alabama won their championship games. Now, I get it. Okay? FSU, no losses, undefeated, wins their championship game. But who did you convince? You scored 24 points against Florida, a terrible Florida team, a 5-7 Florida team that had no ounce of defense going for it in the second half of the season. And then you win by 10 points against Louisville. Louisville's terrible too. Yeah, okay, they went 10-2, but who did they play? Nobody. Okay? They didn't play any good teams. Okay? Let's just face facts with facts, right? When I look at Florida State and I see a team who lost its signal caller, its leader, and its best player at quarterback in Jordan Travis, I then have no other, reaction than to look at these two games that they played, barely scoring any points against a terrible Gator team and a just as bad Louisville team, and say, yeah, go play Michigan. Or go play Alabama. Yeah, I just don't see them winning any of these, or go play Washington. You're not beating any of these teams without Jordan Travis, okay? Now, the committee also has a stipulation where it says that they're going to have to look at strength of schedule and also injuries of star players. Those are two of the criterias that the committee has to pay attention to. It's in the paperwork, guys. It's in the rule book. So, again, for everybody in Florida State who's pissed off and they're mad and they're just stomping their feet and they're rolling around in the mud, I get it. I understand the frustration. The Florida Gators went through this a few years back, guys. I think it was the 2013 Florida Gators. Florida Gators go 11-1 on the season, only losses to Georgia. Georgia goes undefeated, okay? Georgia then plays, okay, an SEC championship game and loses, I believe it was, to Alabama, okay? Alabama goes on to win national championship like 42-14 over like Notre Dame or something like that. Okay? Terrible. And you have people looking around saying, well, who should have Alabama faced? Well, the answer, is Florida. Because look at your other teams. Notre Dame, I believe, was 11-2 that year, but they hadn't played anybody. Not really. And you look at the rest of the standings, and the Gators were ranked 3. Okay? Ranked 3 Florida Gator team ends up having to play a ranked 21 Louisville team, and they lost. Yes, the Gators lost, but make no mistake about it, I watched that game. The Gators lost because they were pissed off. They were angry. The coaching went out the window. They just wanted to hit something, guys. I understand that's how Florida State's playing, so you guys are going to have a chance to prove it against Georgia. That's the good/bad news. Because let's just call it like what it is, guys. If y'all can't beat Georgia here, what made y'all think y'all was going to beat anybody else in the college playoff top 4 right now? Use your heads, okay? Right now, everybody's thinking off of emotion. But I can name to you so many times where a team that was missing a pivotal piece or just had not played anybody good throughout the year goes into a championship game and gets demolished. Let's start with last year. Georgia, last year, 65-7 over TCU. Did TCU deserve to be there? Sure. Was TCU ready to be there? Nah. Okay? This is an example of what's taking place with Florida State. Florida State has a tremendous defense. I understand it. They have a tremendous receiving core. I understand it. They have a great running back. I understand that. What does it matter if you have all those pieces if you have nobody to helm the ship? You can have the best gunners and the best outlookers and the best, everything. Best cook on your ship. But if your captain is out, what are you supposed to do? What is it that you're going to do? Explain to me what it is that you're going to do without a captain. Without your leadership. Without your signal caller. Without the guy that makes this whole mechanized thing go. Alright? The College Football Committee got this right. I called it last week. Leaving Florida State out was the right call. Texas beat Alabama. Alabama beat Georgia. Those are the 2 best wins in the country. Okay? And as a result, they deserve to be in there. And I feel like we're going to have tremendously better games because of it. And now we don't have to see Florida State get smashed. Because make no mistake about it, Florida State had to play Alabama, they lose. If Florida State had to play Washington, I think they lose that game outright. I think Michigan is the one team that they would have had a good chance at beating because both of these teams are defensive oriented. And Jordan Travis has been known to be able to open games up against good defense. We've seen him do it multiple times this past season. But there's no Jordan Travis, guys. There's none. So I'm sorry to spend so much time on it, but this was something I need people to understand. The committee made the right decision. Florida State just fell into a situation of unfortunality, and that's what took place here. Jordan Travis doesn't get injured, we don't have this conversation. If Georgia doesn't lose to Alabama, we don't have this conversation. Florida State is mad at the wrong people. Alright? That's what it comes down to. That's what's going on with Florida State. The Canes, Miami, that's a different ball game. Miami started out strong, finished terribly throughout the season. They finished, I think it was 6-6. They're going to play another 6-6 team in Rutgers. That game is going to be the Pinstripe Bowl. Look for that game December 28th, 2:15 p.m. So, not a New Year's Day, but still close enough out there. It'll be a good game. The Canes should be a little bit more healthy than what they are right now. So I look forward to seeing what takes place in that game. But until then, that's what's going on with Miami. It's very simple with them. They need to recruit better. The coaching staff is decent. They need a little bit better recruiting, and they just need to put it all together. I think after the year they've had this year, the offseason is probably going to help them out tremendously, okay? The Noles, like I said, they're going to play Georgia, and I didn't mention this earlier, so I do apologize, but here's the details for that game. The Noles are going to play Georgia. That game's going to come to you in the form of December 30th at 4 p.m. That's the Orange Bowl, guys. They still got as high a ball as you could possibly get without being in the championship, rightfully so. But again, if Florida State can't beat Georgia, they have no right to argue and complain about what was going on with them not making the college football playoff because they were going to have to play teams that are clearly on par or better than Georgia. So, hey, play your national championship game against Georgia. You just won't get a trophy afterwards. That's what's going on there with the Noles, guys. Bolts, I'm going to get into this real quick. We'll take our last break of the evening after that, and we'll roll from there. The Bolts, they're still playing iffy hockey, guys. There's still no defense to be found. Now there's no offense as well, but the defense definitely making it hard for the offense to be able to shoot and score. We're not getting to our power plays at all, and when we do, we're not capitalizing. All right, that's just what it comes down to. Bolts are going to have to stiffen up. Their record sure as heck doesn't look very good right now, but they're playing against a team, or about to play a team, that doesn't look any better than they do. So if you're looking for Bolts hockey, tonight is the night. The Bolts record arriving in at 12-11 record with 5 draws. They're going to be playing the Kraken tonight. That's going to be a team coming with an 8-13 and 6 draws. That game is going to come to you tonight at 10 p.m. So it's going to be a little bit later. I understand if you have something else that you're going to be watching tonight. I don't think there's a UFC fight card on tonight, but next week will be the big fight card. I'll talk to you guys about that then. So we should be happy that we can watch hockey late this evening because, again, the only other games that there are going to be to watch tonight are going to be that NBA in-season tournament finale between the Lakers and the Pacers, which I will probably be watching that game myself. But, you get what I'm saying. There's really not a whole lot to watch tonight, so tonight will be a great time for you to watch the Bolts play some hockey. I unfortunately don't have the channel that allows us to watch Bolts hockey, which just freaking sucks because I would be watching it if I did, but I don't get it with my current package, and guys, I'm not rich, so until I'm making a milli, it's going to be, keeping up on with it at ESPN, but nonetheless, I'll have the details for you with the way these games go throughout the rest of this week. Next week, the Bolts are at 2-5 in the last 7. It's, again, no defense, guys. I get it. The offense has to produce, but the offense has been scoring. They haven't been scoring much, but they've been scoring when they score, okay? And the defense, though, they've just been giving up too many. 4 goals, 5 goals. The puck is just slapping the net too much on the defensive side of the ice for the Bolts, and that's just unacceptable. So, until they can straighten up that defense, they're going to continue to struggle. Again, we knew that this was going to happen after 3 years of running the Stanley Cup tables. Hey, it is what it is. We're still very proud of our team. We love our Bolts, and they're making us more proud than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are at this point. So I'm not going to sit there and hang my hat. I'm going to say thank you for what you guys are doing. But if you want to find success again, you got to get back to playing tremendous defense, because that's what initially carried us into our 2 Stanley Cup Finals victories and 3 Stanley Cup Finals appearances, guys. So that's what's going on there with the Bolts, guys. Again, love the Bolts. Keep on doing what you're doing. Well, keep doing what you're doing in the sense of getting back on track, but we gotta start with the defense. The next game is going to be against the Canucks. That's going to be Tuesday, December 12th, 10 p.m. So as you get, we're in the holiday season, so these games are going to start coming a lot later because obviously the association, right? Especially with it being cold in most of the states. Not here, but most of the states out there. So, look forward to that game, 10 p.m. Games are going to be coming your way back-to-back for the Bolts, so just be prepared for that if you're normally used to the 7 or 8 o'clock start time. It's going to be a little bit later, guys. Let's go ahead and get into our last break of the evening. I know it's been a spotty one, guys, but just hang in there with me. I'm still fighting a little bit of some sinuses issues right now, but thank you so much for rocking here with me at Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pools, your host, and as always, this is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Keep it locked here, guys. We'll be back in a moment.
IE Sports Radio fans, it's your boy, the SoCal Saint, the host of the premier professional wrestling podcast online today, the IE Elite Wrestling Show. If you're a fan and have a passion for the world of professional wrestling, this is the show for you. I take you inside the ropes with all the athleticism, high-flying, and hard-hitting action, and then we take it backstage with all the backstage drama and backstabbing that goes on in the world of professional wrestling today. If something's going on in the world of professional wrestling, rest assured, the SoCal Saint knows what's going on, and he's going to let you know too. If you're a fan, check us out every Tuesday, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, only on IE Sports Radio. The IE Elite Wrestling Show, your direct feed for all that is professional wrestling, on the only network that is your direct feed for all that is sports. Check us out.
That's right, guys. You're going to definitely check out that show if you're a fan of pro wrestling like I am. I'm a huge fan of it. I'm watching AEW, WWE, IWGP, TNA. I've been all over the place, Ring of Honor. You name it, I'll check it out as long as it's good material. And, that's one guy right there who's going to go ahead and knock it down for you every week, giving you all that information you need to know based on what's going on in the world of professional wrestling. But here on Palm Tree Sports Radio, we're going to talk about what's going on in Florida, okay? And that includes the NBA. So welcome back. Again, my name is Corey Pujols, your host, and as always, is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And guys, let's get back into it. We're going to try and, accelerate the process a little bit, but realistically speaking, the Heat are doing what we thought the Magic would do, and the Magic are doing what we thought the Heat would do. I mean, guys, okay, so this is actually kind of fun, right? The Heat aren't playing bad basketball. They're just injury prone. It's so bad, guys. You can kind of hear the frustration coming out of me a little bit. This is my team in Florida. I'm a huge Miami Heat fan. For me, it was like when Tom came to play for the Buccaneers when LeBron went down to Miami, because I had the only two jerseys, NBA jerseys I have in my closet right now are 2 LeBron James jerseys and a Dwayne Wade jersey. Okay, so that should tell you how much I love the Miami Heat. Okay, how much I love LBJ. Keep doing what you're doing, big dog. But the Heat, 12-10, but they're 12-10 because they're hurt. They're so hurt, guys. Listen, Tyler Hero's out right now. He's not the only one. There's a ton. And it's been that way each of the last few seasons. Even last year, they were injury prone, and it was just one of those things where you say, Miami, y'all just got to get healthy, man. Y'all just got to get healthy. Imagine if everybody is healthy and playing their game. This team is, a top 5 team in the league for sure. As of right now, that is not the case. It is the case for the Magic, however. Okay. Magic are playing tremendous basketball. Couldn't be more proud of them. Very happy to see what they're doing. Now, my dad is a Magic fan, so Dad, you're gonna love this part. But let's not even talk about Miami right now. Let's talk about the Magic instead. The Magic are second place in the East, rocking a 15-7 record. They are playing tremendous basketball behind one of the youngest teams ever assembled. I mean, look at what is the average age of the player on Miami, or not Miami, but Orlando right now? When they 23, 22, 23? Absolutely ridiculous. You gotta love it, though. I'm glad to see these young guys huddling around the ball playing good basketball. They just came up off a tailwoman off the Pistons. Now, the Pistons, I get it. They're terrible, right? 2-20, not playing good basketball. I get it. I believe me, I get it. Doesn't matter. It's still a professional sport. This is what you come to see. And, the Magic playing good basketball. 123-91 victory. You guys know what I say about basketball. You want to win a basketball game, keep the other team from scoring 100. And what do you need to do? Well, get in those triple digits, score over 100, and you win. Miami's been doing a bad job at that. The Magic have not, okay? So, shout out to the Magic. Keep doing what you're doing, guys. You're making Orlando proud. Obviously, Tampa by way of Orlando because, we don't have a basketball team in Tampa. It would be nice to have one, but we don't. So keep on making us proud, man. A lot of people down here are Magic fans. A lot of people are down here are Heat fans. We just love our basketball teams. I think that's just what it comes down to. And, the Magic are just doing a phenomenal job this year. So keep up the good work. Again, 15-7, first quarter of the way through the season. You got to love what they're putting on tape there and what they're doing down there. Or up there, I should say, in Orlando. For those of you who are not familiar, I live in Brandon, which is right next to Tampa. All right, so Tampa and Brandon are essentially just Tampa, but they got to separate it because of jurisdictional purposes. But Orlando is nothing but an hour away from us. Orlando is that generic vacation spot that most states have, but ours is just better. I'm sorry, guys. I got to flex on y'all. We got it all, though. I mean, Orlando is just absolutely wow. I mean, Ripley's Believe It or Not, Disney World, we have Busch Gardens here in Tampa Bay. So, an hour between each other, and you're visiting pretty much everything that Central Florida has to offer there. And like I said, Orlando has its own strip. It's a very beautiful strip at that. There's an aquarium. There's a harbor. If I remember correctly, there's a harbor. I know we have another harbor down here in St. Petersburg next to Tampa Bay. So, guys, just a little geographical, knowledge for you guys who aren't from Florida, maybe have never visited. But if you ever have been thinking about it, let me tell you, hell of a place to visit, guys. I mean, living here it's become super crowded, right? It's super crowded. Everything's in development. We don't got no more trees. I mean, no more farms. All the farms are gone. There used to be like 3 different farms. Now none of them exist. I mean, the one that I drive past to go to church is now an Amazon delivery warehouse, location. So just goes to show you the industrialization that's taking place here in Central Florida. But one thing that remains the same is that everybody loves their Magic and their Heat down here. So if you ever want to come visit, check out a Magic game, you won't be disappointed, guys. You won't be disappointed. I promise you that much. But yeah, like I said, Magic making us really proud. Their next game is going to be Monday, December 11th at 7 p.m. That game is against the Cavs. So the Cavs are going to continue their journey through Florida, which that rounds us back up to Miami, actually, as the Cavs were able to defeat the Heat. So hopefully the Magic can get a little payback for the Heat on that ball game there. The Heat lost that game to the Cavs, 111-99 ball game. So again, they're not doing a good job with keeping the other team under 100 while scoring over 100. It is what it is. The Cavs record 13-9, Heat record 12-10. Both of these teams came in with essentially the same record. And, one team won, one team lost. So that's what's going on there. Next game against the Heat should be a gimme against the Hornets. That game's going to be Monday, December 11th at 7 p.m. So if you want to watch some Heat basketball, you got to wait till Monday. But again, Monday's going to be a hot spot. There's going to be a lot to watch going on Monday there. Same thing with the Magic game. That game is going to be against the Cavs. That's going to be December 11th, 7 p.m. So both teams are going to be flipping back and forth. I do not get both on my I have Spectrum, for those of you who also have Spectrum. I don't get the Miami Heat. I get the Miami Heat. I don't get the Orlando Magic game. So I'll be watching the Heat game, and of course Monday Night Football, Monday Night Raw. That's what I'll be flipping back between on that night. But I'm still looking forward to it. Still a lot of games to be played. Season's still very, very young. Can't wait to see both these teams hook it up, both in Orlando and in Miami. It's gonna be a great time. Shout out to the Magic though. Keep doing what you're doing. Second place in the East, guys. Y'all look good. You look damn good. Keep doing what you're doing, guys. Now let's wrap things up with college basketball real quick, guys. A few things to touch on here for college basketball, especially been waiting for this part. The Gators, we're going to start with them as always. They were beating Richmond 64-53. If anybody has a score, put that in the chat real quick. But the last time I saw they were winning, that was high in the second period. I think there was 9 minutes, 46 seconds left to go the last time I saw that game. So go Gators. Hopefully you guys get back in that win column again with another victory over Richmond. Like I said, 64-53 was the last score that I saw with 9 minutes to go. Hopefully they won that game. The Gators rocking a 5-3. Richmond was a 5-4. So very similar records there, but different ball clubs. The way they play basketball is so completely different. So it was making for a decent game, but the Gators were edging away. The Gators' next game is going to be against East Carolina. That game is going to be Thursday, December 14th at 7 p.m. So get ready for that game, of course. It's going to be a great time for us to watch the Gators play some basketball against East Carolina. This is a team that I think they play every year, so that'll be fun to see how they hook it up from last year to this year. This year they've been playing, I think, better basketball than they did last year. So this is something I look forward to seeing. Hopefully by then they will have 7 wins on the season and start powering themselves into a ranking, because this is about the time where teams start to loosen up and you start to see the rankings carry 2 and 3 lost teams. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes. The Noles, this is one thing that the Noles can't do is play basketball right now. I don't know what's going on, but the Noles lost to USF. Go Bulls! Shout out to the USF Bulls. We love you guys. I work right next to you guys. I'm actually need to start covering you guys on here, especially now that you guys are bowl eligible. Okay, good job USF becoming bowl eligible, going 6-6 in the football season, which I know that sounds like a terrible record, but guys, USF has only had a football team for like 15 years. Okay, they didn't have much sports going on before that. So shout out to USF, truly moving themselves into an upper echelon variant of college sports in general. Very happy to see that you guys beat the Noles. The Noles rocking a 4-4, USF 3-4. Hey, just hats off to you guys, USF. Keep doing what you're doing. Get back to 500 and go from there, yeah? Score of that game was 88-72. Wasn't a close ball game. 16-point differential, something you don't expect to see against a Florida State team. 1 year USF, but hey, USF has some ballers down there, man. I've seen some of them. I've actually driven some of them around the city. So hey, keep doing what you're doing, USF. Proud of you guys. Keep on stacking wins, and always good to beat FSU, right? Always good to beat the Noles. No disrespect to the Noles, guys. A ton of respect to their college and what you guys are going through. But hey, you got to win that one against USF, guys. Next game for the Noles is going to be against SMU. That game is going to be Saturday, December 16th at 8 p.m., just in case you're going to want to watch that game. And, of course, the late game is just due to the fact that, obviously, we're getting closer to the holiday season. And you know what that means. They're going to start, just like they do for Thanksgiving. You got to start putting these games, in prime time so that people can watch them, because it's going to be super, super, super busy for everybody, especially for those celebrating and, traveling to different houses for the holidays. I don't know about you guys, but that's what we do. My family does. We usually have a few houses to hit. Sometimes they get split up on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Shout out to my family if you're out there listening. I love you guys, both sides, mom and dad. Just everything that you guys, do for us, that you have done for us, our entire lives, is always appreciated. You guys are loved and very much so valued. Thank you so much, guys. But yeah, that's what's going on there for the late game. For the Noles, that is. The Canes, on the other hand, best basketball team in Florida at the moment. They're rocking a 7-1 record, ranked 15 in the nation. Good job, Miami, on the ranking. Good job on the record, guys. They're going to be hosting Colorado tomorrow at 2 p.m. That's going to be a really good game, guys. Colorado coming in a 6-2 record. This is going to be probably their second real test of the year for Colorado, so we'll see what happens there. Go Canes, obviously. Miami, this is the one thing you guys got going for you guys as a program and as a university. So keep playing good basketball. Keep on climbing that ladder. Hope to see you guys make it deep into the Final Four and hopefully get a dance there at the end. Next game for Miami should be a gimme against La Salle. That's going to be Saturday, December 16th at 12 p.m. That should be a gimme. Really simple. So it's very plausible that the Miami Hurricanes could be 9-1 as they exit the first stretch of the college basketball season, guys. And that's what's going on there. That's what's going on there in the world of sports for the state of Florida. Thank you guys for joining me. I know, again, today was kind of a choppy day. I know my voice wasn't the best and having some sinuses issues, but thank you so much for having it locked here. I really appreciate you guys. And as always, just some food for thought. Always something to consider. Spend time with your family. Enjoy your time with your family. Make the most of the time, guys. Time is not promised. You look across the world, and I'm going to say this every week until we get blue in the face, but you look across the world and things could be so much worse, and that's what I hang my hat on every morning. That's what I thank the Lord for every morning when I wake up, and that's what I pray for, whenever I lift up my prayers to the Lord, whether night, day, work, sleep, whatever. It doesn't matter. Just pray, be blessed, take care of yourself, drink water, stay hydrated. If you're in cold states, hey, don't stay frosty, I guess. Try to keep it warm down here in the South. We're going to try and keep it frosty because it's hot down here. It is what it is. We got 74 and sunny right now. You dig? So, but yeah, spend time with the family. So it's the time for food, family, and football, okay? 3 best months of the year. Don't waste them. You're now December, last month of the year. So don't waste it. Spend time with your family. Love each other. And bring it back here next week. Same time, same place, guys. We'll be talking about everything here, Florida sports related, and we're going to keep it locked, So thank you again for joining me here on Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pujols, your host. And as always, this is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Thank you again so much, guys. Until next time, stay safe, stay frosty. Peace.